The first reading this morning is Psalm 123. To you I lift up my eyes, O you who are enthroned in the heavens. As the eyes of servants look to the hand of their master, as the eyes of a maid to the hand of her mistress, so our eyes look to the Holy One, our God, until God has mercy upon us. Have mercy upon us, O God, have mercy upon us, for we have had more than enough of contempt. Our soul has had more than its fill of scorn of those who are at ease, of the contempt of the proud. And the second reading is from Mark in the 6th chapter. Jesus left that place and came to his hometown, and his disciples followed him. On the Sabbath, Jesus began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astounded. They said, "Where did this man get all this? What is this wisdom that has been given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hand? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary and brother of James and Joses and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took great offense at him. Then Jesus said to them, "Prophets are not without honor except in their hometown and among their own kin and in their own house." And Jesus could do no deed of power there, except that he laid his hand on a few sick people and cured them. And he was amazed at their unbelief. For the wisdom contained in these holy words, we give thanks. Amen.
Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You don't know what wars are going on down where the spirit meets the bone. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Jesus left that place, the place where he healed a woman who had bled for 12 years and brought a young child back to life. Jesus left that place where the people were overcome with amazement at what he had done. Jesus left that place and came to his hometown, and his disciples followed him. On the Sabbath, Jesus began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astounded, were incensed, some translators say. They said, "Where did this man get all this? What is this wisdom that has been given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary and brother of James and Joses and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. Jesus went home and was put down by the people he grew up around. Who did he think he was? He was not a teacher. He was not a rabbi. He was a carpenter, a lowly carpenter. This is not the first time we hear dramatic responses to Jesus' actions. In the first chapter of Mark, Jesus was teaching in the synagogue, and the people in Capernaum were astounded at his teaching. He taught with authority, and when Jesus healed a person, the people were amazed. In the third chapter of Mark, Jesus went home, and the crowd came together so that Jesus and his disciples couldn't even eat. That's how many and how crowded they were in around him. Word had got out that Jesus was healing people. Some of that healing had happened on the Sabbath, a day of rest. There was, as you might imagine, some disdain from religious leaders. Jesus was breaking the rules of the Sabbath, disobeying the 10 Commandments, a big no-no. Anyway, Jesus went home after that, and people gathered around him, and his family heard, and they went out to restrain him, for people were saying he has gone out of his mind. No surprise then, when Jesus went home again after teaching and healing throughout the countryside, that people ridiculed him, tried to diminish his words and actions by putting him down. The hometown boy who was just a lowly carpenter whose work required his hands to build things like shelves or a roof. There he was trying to be a big shot rabbi using his brains and hands to teach and heal, and as it turned out, to build a beloved community. Who did he think he was? He must have been out of his mind. It's an interesting thing to think about how we create boxes for people to operate from within, depending on where they come from, what part of town they live in, or what high school they go to, or where they went to college. In St. Louis, as I found out almost as soon as I moved here, one's high school provides information around economic status. In general, one's zip code determines economic status. One's college alma mater suggests intelligence and often economic status. There's a theme here. And with those bits of information, people form opinions and expectations of who people are and their potential for success, which is often, no surprise, based on economic status. If a person steps out of the societal stereotype they've been put into, they might be considered too big for their britches or be accused of stepping out of line. Jesus came from Nazareth, a small town about which a question was posed. Can any good come out of Nazareth? That's how bad it was there. And there was Jesus bringing good news. The message he was bringing to people was one of liberation. He was speaking in the synagogue, speaking and healing as one with authority. And he was just a carpenter. Hard for some people to witness. The same story we've heard today is told in Luke's gospel. There, Jesus unrolled the scroll in the synagogue and read from the prophet Isaiah. Let me read what he read in Luke's gospel. My guess is, if Mark was a more less succinct writer, we would hear this too. The Spirit of the Holy One is upon me, because God has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. God has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, to proclaim the year of the Holy One's favor. You can imagine how unsettling that message was for many people. It was revolutionary. Life turned upside down, revolutionary. The year of the Holy One's favor suggested the realization of the year of Jubilee, a law laid out in Leviticus where in the 50th year, land would be restored back to the people, land that had been taken away to pay off debts or to redeem family members. The year of Jubilee was the hope for a reset, restoration, and liberation for those down and out. Not especially good news for everyone, like the ones who had acquired all that land and economic status. Good news, though, for the people who struggled to make ends meet, who had been pushed to the margins and forgotten. Jesus was proclaiming the good news that all people were beloved and precious children of God, created in God's image. Everyone belonged. Jesus, the carpenter from Nazareth, was indeed building the beloved kingdom on earth, as God dreams it. The religious leaders didn't like it. After all, many of them benefited from the system as it stood. Rome didn't like it. Building a new kingdom sounded a lot like treason. And many others, I expect, were plain frightened by such talk. It could get them all into trouble. Jesus must have been out of his mind to proclaim these things. Who did he think he was, this person from the town from which no good came? And people took offense. They took offense at Jesus' work to create a space where everyone could belong. beloved community. And the text tells us Jesus was amazed at the people's unbelief. Amazed they didn't trust God's good news. I wonder how many of us think we aren't the right person to proclaim the good news, to speak about and live out the love of God. Often, as I began my journey into ordained ministry, which I'm going to confess never in my mind involved becoming a pastor, often I wondered why anyone would want to listen to what I had to say. After all, I was just a farm girl from Saskatchewan. Grew up on a farm where my parents worked so hard just to put food on the table. We were poor. There was no other way to say it. No running water. We used a wood-burning stove to cook and heat the house. What could I possibly contribute, and why would anyone care? I sure didn't come from a desired postal code. No status, no economic status, no status of any kind at all. It took years for me to find my voice and years to build the confidence to use it. And I know I'm not alone. How often do we make excuses for not standing up or speaking out? Not good enough, not strong enough, scared of what people will say about me if I do, frightened I'll mess up, won't say it right or do it right. You see, Jesus stood up, this fellow from Nazareth. Jesus spoke out. Jesus lived out the love of God. This person from a small town from where no good came, a lowly carpenter who people put down and said was out of his mind, took offense at him. Jesus did that. Just a regular guy, a carpenter from Nazareth. And look what happened. Holy smokers. He's just like us. And here's the thing. Jesus was not satisfied with spreading the good news of God's love for everyone, beloved and precious children of God, and living that message out by himself. Jesus was not satisfied doing the work of building beloved community alone. Oh no. In the verses just after these, Jesus trained up his motley crew of disciples, most likely teenagers, not on the rabbi track. No, they were fishers. Jesus trained up this motley crew of disciples to go and spread the good news far and wide, trained them to be leaders in building beloved community. And if they could do it, and they did, well, I guess we can too. We don't have to have 3 degrees to build beloved community. Don't have to live in a prestigious zip code to build beloved community. Don't have to use big words or be a certain age to build beloved community. Don't have to wear fashionable clothes or drive a particular car or make a great big salary to build beloved community. Nope. We just need the passion and determination to create something where we belong, where everyone belongs. And if we do work to build beloved community, why, people will try to stop us. They'll wonder out loud who we think we are. They'll put us down, try to diminish us, call us out for rocking the boat, say we don't have expertise, say we're out of our minds. They'll take offense at our words and actions. Just look around at what's going on in the world, in our country, in our state. Lord, have mercy on my soul. People have a lot at stake and want to keep things moving in a particular direction. That does not build beloved community where everyone belongs. They're doing the opposite. What they're after is complacency from the people so they can build an empire for themselves. You better believe they'll take offense at our building beloved community efforts. This work is no easy task. We too will be amazed that not everyone is excited about our work to create a space where everyone belongs, beloved community. I am amazed every day. No matter who you are, or where you're from, or where you're going, you can participate in building beloved community, a place where everyone belongs. God's dream for the world. Who do you think you are? You're a beloved and precious child of God, created in God's image. That's enough. You're enough. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Now, let's get out there. Let's go build God's beloved community. The world will be a better place if we do. May it be so.